128 to 104. Just let those numbers sit there for a second. That is a 24-point margin of victory. But honestly, if you look at the materials we have in front of us today, specifically this deep tactical breakdown of the Lakers versus the Sacramento Kings, the score actually feels almost polite.
It does, doesn't it? It feels misleadingly close.
Right, because what we are looking at here wasn't just a basketball game. There wasn't just a W in the standings. The reporting on this match uses words like, well, humiliation. It uses words like show. It describes a level of dominance that makes you wonder if we were watching a sporting event or, you know, a statement of intent.
Exactly. And that is really the core of our deep dive today. We aren't here just to read you the box score. I mean, you can get that anywhere. We're looking at a detailed game report, what the source calls a texto colado, that essentially pastes together the tactical reality and the atmospheric shifts in this matchup.
Yeah, we want to get into the DNA of this win.
The mission is to unpack how they won, because winning is one thing. But the way this report describes the chemistry between Luka Dončić and LeBron James, that is something else entirely. It suggests that this specific performance serves as a massive message to the entire Western Conference.
And context is key here for you listening.
Yeah.
We are talking about March 2026. So this is the final stretch of the season.
This is the time when momentum stops being a buzzword and starts being the difference between a title run and booking an early vacation. You just can't fake it in March.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the report starts with something very specific about the opening minutes. It doesn't talk about a slow build or a feeling out process. It talks about an explosion. The breakdown describes the team hitting maximum intensity right from the tip-off.
Which is incredibly rare for a regular season game. Usually you see teams ease into their sets, maybe trade a few baskets.
But the notes here emphasize that the Lakers entered with this maxed out intensity. And I want to dig into what that actually looks like on the floor, because playing hard is a cliche. What was structurally different about this start?
Well, what's fascinating here is that the analysis breaks it down into three interconnected factors that created this early lead. It wasn't just effort, it was tactical execution. First, they note suffocating defensive pressure.
Suffocating is a really strong word. We're not just talking about good contesting of shots, are we?
No, this implies they were into bodies, they were denying passing lanes. When you read suffocating in this context, it usually means they were blowing up the Kings' plays before they could even get into their first option. They weren't letting Sacramento run their sets at all.
Which leads directly to the second point the report highlights, which is rapid transition offense.
And this is the crucial link. You can't have that rapid transition without the suffocating defense. Because they were disrupting the Kings so early in the shot clock, they were generating live ball turnovers or really long rebounds. And that allows you to sprint.
Right, they aren't taking the ball out of the net. No. They are grabbing it and going.
Exactly. They were turning stops into sprints before the Kings could even process that they had lost possession. And that leads to the third factor, high shooting percentage.
Because transition shots are usually easier shots.
Precisely. Layups, dunks, wide open corner threes because the defense is scrambling. So you have this trifecta. You suffocate the other team so they can't score, you run before they can get set so they can't defend, and you hit the easy shots that result from that chaos.
The analysis mentions specifically that they didn't let Sacramento breathe.
That phrasing really stands out to me. Didn't let them breathe. If we connect this to the bigger picture of sports psychology, doing that in the first 6 minutes of a game is just demoralizing. You aren't just scoring points, you are taking away the opponent's belief that they even belong on the same court.
You're effectively ending the game before the first commercial break.
Yeah. You're telling them, hey, it's going to be a long night. And for a team like the Kings, who rely heavily on its speed, youth, and energy, if you cut off their air supply early, they panic. They start forcing things. And that just feeds the Lakers' transition game even more.
And the crowd felt it too. The report makes a huge point to mention the atmosphere. It says the energy inside the arena was different. It explicitly describes it as playoff energy.
Which is huge in March.
Right. It implies the stakes felt higher. The fans weren't just sitting on their hands checking their phones. They were fully engaged on every single possession.
And that feedback loop is crucial. When the defense is suffocating, the crowd gets loud. When the crowd gets loud, the adrenaline spikes and the transition offense gets even faster. It becomes a complete snowball effect. And for a visiting team, walking into that environment where the home team is treating the first quarter like Game 7 of the finals.
That is how you end up down 20 points before you even break a real sweat.
Exactly.
It sets a definitive tone. But let's talk about the conductor of this orchestra, because you can have all that energy, but without direction. It's just noise. And the source material is absolutely glowing about Luka Dončić.
The maestro.
Yes, that is the exact word the report uses, the maestro of the match. Now, the stat line is impressive, 28 points, 9 assists. But the analysis seems to suggest his impact went way beyond just filling up the box score.
Numbers can lie. You can have a quiet 28 points, but the description here, calling Luka the maestro, tells you about control. It tells you about manipulation.
The report says he was controlling completely the offensive rhythm.
Think about what that means in the modern NBA. Most teams want to play fast. Pace and space, right. But a maestro doesn't just play an instrument, they decide how fast the whole orchestra plays. They decide the volume. They decide the silence. The analysis says he was calling plays, infiltrating, creating space.
And here's where it gets really interesting for me. The report has this line, it seemed like he was 2 steps ahead of the opposing defense.
That is the ultimate hallmark of elite basketball IQ. Being 2 steps ahead means you aren't reacting to the defense, you are manipulating them. You aren't passing to where a teammate is, you're passing to where they will be based on how you know the defense absolutely must rotate.
There is a specific tactical insight in the breakdown that I want to drill down on. It mentions that whenever the Kings attempted to react, whenever they tried to go on a run or speed things up, Luka would do something specific. It says he would cool the game down and retake control.
This is such a critical nuance. Usually when an opponent goes on a run, a player's instinct is to fight fire with fire, to run right back at them, to score immediately, to rush.
Panic mode, basically. You try to get those points back instantly.
Right. But the report says Luka did the exact opposite. He cooled the game down. That means slowing the pace, walking the ball up, using the full shot clock. He effectively took the air completely out of the ball.
It's almost arrogant, isn't it?
It's a good thing.
In a good way.
It's incredibly demoralizing for the defense. The Kings want to run. They want chaos. By slowing it down, Luka forced them to play a half-court game against a set defense. He prevented them from building momentum by refusing to play at their chaotic speed. He forced them to play at his speed.
So he is managing the emotional state of the game, not just the score.
Precisely. That is the difference between a scorer and a maestro. A scorer gets buckets. A maestro decides how the game feels. And by doing that, he essentially told Sacramento, you don't get to run, you don't get to have fun, we're doing this my way, at my pace.
I just love that image. Him just backing someone down, calm as a cucumber, while Kings are frantically trying to speed things up. But he wasn't alone out there. We have to talk about the other name on the marquee.
The King.
LeBron James. The notes show he put up 24 points. But again, the report distinguishes his role from Luka's. And I think this distinction is vital for understanding this team.
This is what I found really fascinating. The report defines Luka as the one controlling the rhythm, the tempo. But it defines LeBron's role as providing leadership on the court and making intelligent decisions at the right moments.
It's a subtle distinction, isn't it? It feels like an evolution.
It is. It suggests a passing of the torch in terms of ball dominance. Luka is running the show play to play, cooling it down, handling the heavy lifting of creation. But LeBron is the organizer. The source mentions that despite the passing years, he remains the one who keeps the team's confidence high.
That phrase, leadership on the court, really sticks out. It's almost like having a coach who is also dropping 24 points on efficient shooting. He's picking his spots.
And notice the source mentions intelligent decisions at the right moments. That implies extreme efficiency. He isn't forcing things. He isn't trying to be the Luka of 10 years ago. He is reading the floor, cutting when Luka draws attention, and acting as a secondary hub.
So what does this all mean for the team dynamic? Because we have heard for a long time about fit. Can 2 ball-dominant stars exist together? The material we have seems to think the answer is a resounding yes.
The analysis explicitly states that the chemistry is fitting or clicking. The Portuguese term used in the report is encaixando, which means locking into place. It says the presence of both stars allowed for total control.
Total control. That sounds frightening for the rest of the league.
It is the key to everything. When you have Luka controlling the tempo and manipulating the defense, and then you have LeBron making intelligent decisions and organizing the confidence of the squad, you cover all the bases. You have the engine and the steering wheel working in perfect sync.
It solves the problem of your turn, my turn basketball. It becomes one fluid system.
Exactly. And because they are both such high IQ passers, you can't double team either of them without giving up a wide open layup to the other one.
And that leads us to the bigger picture, because this wasn't a buzzer beater win. This wasn't a few we survived win. The report emphasizes the nature of the victory.
Right. The most impressive part, according to the breakdown, wasn't the final score. It was the dominance, the stability.
Administering the lead from the first half to the last second. That sounds almost clinical.
It is clinical. The report uses the phrase "semesistos."
No scares.
No scares, no pressure, never letting the adversary get close. This is crucial for you as a listener trying to understand the difference between a good team and a great team. A good team wins close games. A great team, a dominant team, makes games boring.
Boring.
In the best possible way. They get the lead and they keep the lead. They don't let the other team have that surge of hope in the third quarter. We see it all the time in the NBA. A team goes up 20, they relax. The other team hits three three-pointers, and suddenly it's a 5-point game.
Yes, the dreaded fake comeback.
Exactly. But this report says they administered the lead. That implies a level of maturity and focus that the Lakers maybe haven't always shown in previous months. They kept their foot firmly on the neck.
It's the difference between fighting for a win and manufacturing a win.
Right. And when you do that against a team like the Kings, who are a good team, a direct rival in the West, it sends a massive message.
The report literally calls it a clear message to the Western Conference.
Think about who is actually listening to that message. The other contenders, Denver, Oklahoma City, Minnesota, they see the box score, sure, but their scouts watch the tape. And what they see is a team that didn't panic, didn't let up, and didn't give an inch for 48 straight minutes.
The source explicitly claims that if they maintain this intensity, the Lakers are transitioning. They're moving from just being a regular team to being a really dangerous contender for the final stretch.
That conditional if is always the catch, isn't it, if this level of intensity continues? But the evidence in this game report is pretty compelling.
It also mentions the squad confidence. It notes that it's not just the stars, the whole cast seems more confident.
That usually trickles down. When Luka is cooling the game down and LeBron is making intelligent decisions, the role players know exactly what they need to do. They don't have to improvise. They don't have to create their own shots with the clock winding down.
They just have to be in their spots.
Exactly. They just have to hit their shots and play defense. That builds confidence because the game feels simple. Structure creates confidence. Chaos creates doubt.
So we have a humiliation of the Kings. We have a maestro in Luka Dončić. We have the enduring, efficient leadership of LeBron James. And we have a team that administered a blowout with zero scares.
It paints a pretty formidable picture.
It really does. But I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier about the playoff atmosphere in the arena. The report was really specific about that. Why does that matter so much right now in March 2026?
Because belief is a physical thing in sports. The analysis says the energy was different. That means the fans are starting to believe that this is the year, or at least that this version of the team is the real deal.
They smell blood in the water.
They do. And that playoff energy transforms a stadium into a fortress. If the Lakers can bottle that feeling that the crowd is expecting a blowout, not just hoping for a win that is a massive advantage heading into the postseason, it intimidates opponents and energizes the role players.
And the report links this directly to the message sent to the West. It's not just, we are good. It's, we are here and we are locked in.
Locked in is the right phrase. You don't beat a team by 24 points by accident. You don't have zero scares by accident. That requires sustained focus. And frankly, focus has been the question mark for this team in the past. This report suggests that the question mark is turning into an exclamation point.
I really like that, turning the question mark into an exclamation point.
It's the consistency. The report says from the first half to the last second. That is the definition of consistency.
You know, reading through the source material, one thing that strikes me is the lack of drama. We're so used to NBA reports being about drama arguments, close calls, controversy, officiating. This report is almost purely about competence, extreme competence.
And that is terrifying for the rest of the league. Drama suggests vulnerability. It suggests cracks in the foundation. Extreme competence, as you put it, suggests a machine. If Luka and LeBron are operating like a machine, one controlling the pace, one organizing the structure, that is a very difficult puzzle for a defense to solve.
Because if you stop the transition, you have to deal with Luka in the half court.
And if you trap Luka, you have LeBron making the intelligent decision to find the open man or cut to the basket.
And if you somehow stop both,
You have a confident supporting cast, as the notes point out, ready to knock down shots because they have no pressure. They are shooting practice shots because the defense is so warped by the two stars.
It sounds like a total catch-22 for the opponent.
It is, and that is why the report uses the word show. It wasn't a contest, it was a performance.
A performance for the home crowd. They definitely got their money's worth.
They absolutely did.
So, we have laid it all out. The 128-104 scoreline. The tactical breakdown of the first quarter blitzed that combination of suffocating defense and transition offense. The maestro Luka Dončić staying 2 steps ahead and refusing to let the Kings run. LeBron James keeping the confidence high and making the smart plays. And the no-scares dominance.
It's a comprehensive beatdown, a statement game in every sense of the word.
It really is. And for you, the listener, this is why we pay attention in March. Because in sports, momentum is everything. We're always looking for that moment when a team clicks, when the chemistry goes from theoretical to practical.
And this game report suggests we might have just witnessed that moment, that shift from potential to kinetic energy.
It's the most exciting time to watch, isn't it? When you realize, oh, they actually figured it out.
It changes the whole narrative of the season. Suddenly the standings don't matter as much as the matchup. Nobody wants to play the team that just figured it out.
But, and there is always a but.
There is always a but. We have to be realistic here.
The source material ends with a provocation. It asks a question that I think we need to leave with our listener today.
It's really the only question that matters now.
The breakdown asks, is this team now a real candidate for the title? Or do they still have more to prove?
It's a completely valid question. One game, even a dominant one, is a sample size of one. We've seen teams look like world beaters on Tuesday and look entirely lost on Thursday.
True. Consistency is the hardest thing to find in the NBA.
If the intensity continues, they are dangerous. But that if is doing a lot of heavy lifting there. Can they bring that suffocating pressure on the second night of a back-to-back? Can they do it on the road?
So that is what we want you to think about. Does a 24-point humiliation of the Kings erase the doubts of the season? Is one maestro performance enough to convince you they can run the table in the West?
Or was it just a really good night at the office where all the shots were falling?
Exactly. The report calls it a clear message, but the question is, did the rest of the West receive it? And more importantly, can the Lakers send it again tomorrow night?
That is the challenge of the final stretch. You have to send that message every single night. You can't leave it in the drafts folder.
And building on that, think about this for a second. If this dual-paced, flawless system really is the new reality for the Lakers, how does a team like Denver or Minnesota even begin to scout for an opponent that can beat you going 100 miles an hour and then choke you out at a walking pace? It's an incredibly tough riddle to solve.
It really is. It forces opposing coaches to prepare for 2 completely different basketball games at once.
Every single night. Well, that's all we have for this deep dive into the Lakers' statement win.
A fascinating look at a team potentially peaking at the absolute perfect time.
Absolutely. Thanks for unpacking this with me.
Always a pleasure.
And thank you for listening. We will catch you on the next deep dive.